Well, it's Wednesday, December 6th, and I realized today that it's been a couple of weeks since we have posted any updates. And it's also been a couple of weeks since we've actually taken any videos or pictures of anything going on around here. And that's partly because not a whole lot has been going on around here. And B, I've been sick. So the Sunday that we were installing the windows, it was just really crunch time. And that entire week I was completely exhausted, between work and stuff. And that day was very stressful. So by the time I finished the windows and then I had to go up to the classroom and do paperwork and get my grades done, that did me in. I'm just telling the truth. So by Wednesday of that week, my entire side of my head, every lymph gland was totally inflamed. I was trying to fight off some kind of infection. I was just like, oh, I've got to get some rest. And I ended up being off work for a few days. It was not pretty at all. And so I realized I've got to start taking care of myself. I need more sleep. And I need to not stress about what's going on with my job or around here, because once it starts affecting your health, that's not good. So the non-glamorous side of house building. Anyway, so I'm trying to do better about getting more rest and just kind of not doing stuff around here. One thing that I do need to take care of is the paperwork. I said, okay, I'm committed to that. I need to handle all of that and whatever decisions need to be made, that type of thing. So anyway, we'll kind of go over maybe a few things that we've done around here. Well, the boiler's working fine and the in-floor heating is working great. It gets nice and toasty in here. Scott installed like a temporary thermostat to just kind of regulate it, but for some reason there's something goofy going on with it, so he's going to have to check that. I'm not sure if it just needs to be adjusted or if there's something faulty with the thermostat. So right now we're just having to turn the unit on and off, and his dad hasn't been back yet to continue on with the plumbing, so we're still having to just use the bucket for the condensation to drip there until we get that situated. One thing that did happen on the 24th is the propane guy came out and installed this line in here, and Scott dug down a little bit more and then covered it with some sand, so he's going to fill that over a little bit better. So that's what's happening under the carport. So then the line runs down the hill. It's dark now. But anyway, the tank is just sitting down the hill there. It's a 500-gallon tank, and that thing is loaded up, so we're good to go. And the roof seems to be working as planned because it's just shedding everything off the back here. So that's looking good. We have a stack of wood here that was left over from the doing the, oops, hello, lights, don't go out on me. These motion lights are great, but I guess I wasn't moving around enough. But this tongue and groove was left over from the loft floor, and so we have it stacked out here just to get out of the way for right now. But our plan is to use this in the kitchen underneath the I guess actually be the ceiling of the kitchen, so that we can kind of create a place to hide the electrical wires and the like the J boxes that are going to hang down on the ceiling there. So this will all match and look like the floor that's above it, just in those places. So we can recycle and use that. And we still have insulation sitting over here. We have to wait until the electrician is finished and the ceiling to get going on that part of it. I can talk about paperwork for a moment, something that I'm not too fond of. This is the master notebook. Woo, what is in here? Well, that's a sample draw sheet from the bank. And this is how I keep everything organized, or attempt to keep things organized in here. It's all by category of how the bank wants you to keep track of the budget sheet, like, lumber, light fixtures, carpentry, appliances, whatever. So I have it all labeled, and then once I do like a draw for the bank, then I file it under whatever category, so I have to keep track of all the receipts. Well, Jen did not do this for like 2 months, and it piled up, and so I've got all these that I had spread out over the living room floor the other night, and trying to ask Scott, like, oh, what was this for, or whatever, and like, oh man. And so once I updated the draw sheet and got some money to pay the bills, we realized that we are at about 144,000 right now is what we have spent, and we need to spend another 17,000 out of pocket, because they have a certain percentage that they want you to spend, like, of your own money from the loan, as in addition to the loan. And so, like, the original budget was like 200,000, and so they're like, well, you have to spend whatever 30,000 of your own money. So we still need to spend like another 17 of our own money, and what's left on the loan right now that we can still draw is about 30,000. So we're at 144,000. Really, the only contract labor that we have left to spend would be the electrician, and the rest of it will be the additional materials costs. So, and people have been asking me, like, well, why don't you just pay somebody to do the rest of your work for you? Like, why are you doing it all yourselves? And I was just explaining this to somebody the other day, like, we decided that we were going to put the majority of our money, the budget, into materials, because we wanted to build ICF, we wanted to have, triple pane windows, we want in-floor heating. There's certain things that we were just not willing to compromise as far as the quality of the materials and how we were going to build this place. So we knew up front, hey, yeah, we've spent the majority of our loan, but it's been all in the cost of the materials and not in the labor. So that means we're having to do stuff ourselves, and that's challenging when you don't have a lot of time, or you're worn out or whatever. So it's like, no wonder we're so behind on schedule. What's happening over here is that Scott is running the vent pipe. So what we realized needs to happen is, because this is where the kitchen sink is going to be, and that's where the drain pipe came up. So he's going to tee off of there to come into the sink part, but we're going to have to vent this some way. So he's kind of doing this little angle jobber. So he had to cut out in the styrofoam, and he's still going to have to connect this part in here. So this is going to go up. He's having to go behind that LVL to get up on the other side and vent that out. So that's going to be the vent stack over here, which he needs to get finished, so that, when we have to see, maybe electrical is going to have to run in front of that, or what's going to happen there. So he needs to finish that, and then there will be a separate vent over here that's going to catch everything from this area, and we're probably just going to vent that up and go out. So I guess in traditional homes, all those vents or stink stacks or whatever you want to call them are all connected, but we decided to just kind of go out separately with those, and try to go out the side rather than having to go through the roof with anything. And that's what we're thinking we're going to do probably with this vent hood as well, is just go straight up and then angle it out so that it's going out the BCI and out the wall above the Arctic entry roof. And so, above the Arctic entry roof and between the main roof, so that we don't have to go up through the roof with that vent. So that's the plan with that. For the contract labor that we still need to pay out would be to the electrician. And what I went ahead and did is label, Scott's dad said the best thing you could do would be to get some tape and put it on the wall. So that's what I did. And so I'm labeling places where, like, okay, this is where I want to switch, and it's going to connect to this light. And like around here, if we want an outlet, okay, well, where do the outlets go? So I have those, down here. And then like we had this idea that we wanted to do here. Scott still needs to build this in, but we're going to put like these little inlaid like alcoves so that we can put, you know, like a piece of pottery or something in here, and then have like a little light that would shine down into that little alcove. So there'd be like one here, one here, one here, coming through this entryway. And then we decided for the lighting in here that we would just put one sconce up here and then another one right over here. That way we do not have to do any like overhead lighting in here. So when you come in, so what I've had to do is kind of walk through the house, like, you know, different times and just say, okay, well, how naturally you come through the door and you want to be able to hit your switch on, and what is this switch going to control? Well, I want to flip on the hallway lights to get the sconces to work, and then I want to be able to also control the Arctic entry overhead light. So like what we would put in here in the Arctic entry, so we could turn that off. And then out here, it's also going to be the atrium area right here. So we're like, wow, we're going to need to have more plugs on this side to accommodate, you know, starting the starter plants and things like that before we get our greenhouse going. So you know, thinking through all of these things, and so that I'd label it, and then I'd go away, come back a couple days later, and walk through it again and go, okay, where am I flipping a switch, or what are we doing here? And then other things are having to decide on, like in Emma Jean's room. So many folks had given some excellent suggestions about building kind of like a high bed or like loft type area for her here and take advantage of this height in this room. So eventually we want to do that, so we're having to think, well, you know, maybe we need an outlet like way up there, you know, or and also in that case that the ceiling fan normally would be centered here, you know, kind of up high in the center of the room, but if you're going to have, you know, a sleeping or, you know, loft area up here for her, then we're going to need to move the ceiling fan over here, so that's not, you know, obviously in the way of her, you know, getting up and down from there. And then, oh, where are we going to put the smoke detectors? So one in her room and one in our room and that type of thing. So so I've gone around and labeled all of those things. And then we thought, even in the utility room, Costco has some lights on. These were great buys, these motion sensor ones. So now they have something on sale this month which is similar to that, but it's just a kind of a utility shop light. And we had the idea that we could just, you know, put one or two of those up there. So that's why I labeled that one as an outlet, so that we could just plug those in and then have that connected to the switch here. Because, you know, I mean, we can dress that up in the future or change that out if we want to, but really that type of light is all that we need. And this light is going to be moved out into the carport when we're done with using it temporarily in here. And so in the bathroom, right now, we also want to do, I've got this labeled, so Scott will cut this out and put kind of an inlaid, we'll just do a little custom medicine cabinet, and we thought that we'd add like an outlet somewhere on the inside of that, so that you could have like a stand-up area for, you know, like your electric toothbrushes and things like that, or his, you know, shaving stuff, so that we could just plug it in on the inside and it won't have to be like lying around on the counter. Or put an outlet also underneath here, so that when we do this vanity area here and you want to just kind of pull out a drawer, then maybe that whatever that's in there, hairdryer or something, could be connected, plugged into an outlet underneath there and not clutter the vanity area right here. And one thing we're not sure about in the bathroom, I still need to make a decision. I put a little note on the wall up here. Where put overhead light and fan? And because that's what I'm really not sure about. And what we were thinking about doing once we get the, you know, tub in place here is potentially maybe building down here, like come down a little bit, and then put some like, not shelving, but like a cabinet there, like a storage cabinet kind of above the shower area, and then install the fan and light right like in that the ceiling part of that. So then that would go all the way up to where the ceiling is now, and then you'd have storage area right there. So, I mean, it's a possibility. I'm still not sure exactly if that's the best idea. Originally, we thought we would, you know, put shelving or like cabinetry, you know, above the vanity and all above here, with shelves, and then we could just use, step ladder to get up there and, be able to access stuff in storage and take care. Because I'm like, oh, we really don't need a high ceiling in a bathroom, so let's try to use this area a little more efficiently. So anyway, I'm not sure if we should still, like maybe build the set of cabinets eventually all the way around. And I guess the reason I have to make a decision about that is like, well, if we're doing that, are we putting a light and the fan in the center of the room, like up here? Or are we doing this drop down thing? Would it be better to put the fan and stuff there? Anyway, so that's one more thing you need to make a decision about. And so the other idea in here, we had, his dad suggested about making like a valance or something, because we were trying to do a lot of research and get some ideas of what to do with the entire living room. And a lot of the feedback that we got that we really, took to heart was about not putting the canned or the recessed lighting here in the living room. And the reason we decided not to do that is because, a lot of homes have, the roof system is, a truss system. So you've got your traditional truss roof, and then, so your ceiling is way down here and your attic space is up there, or your insulation or whatever. But really the only insulation we have is right there. That's, 12 inches. So where that foam board is, the 2-inch foam board, now we're going to, drop down with that batting insulation. And we decided we really don't want to compromise any of that. So if you start putting these, cans up there, then that's interfering with your insulation. And then, later if you do have to repair or do something with them, then they're up inside your ceiling. And I don't know, we just decided against it. So what we're going to do is put our ceiling fan right here in the center, and we feel like that is mandatory because it needs to be able to push that heat back down. The other thing we're going to do over here is put, there's a label up here for like a light fixture, and we're just going to put like a track of lights or some type of fixture that maybe has just like 4 spotlights on it. And because this is the area where Scott wants to put his big set of moose antlers that he has mounted, and so he wants to put that up there, so then we could have maybe a spotlight or two, on that, and then still be able to angle the other spots down into this living area right here where kind of the couches and stuff are going to be. So we figured that would probably be, and then, of course you'd have like a little reading lamp or something plugged into an outlet over there that's coming off, maybe at the end of a couch or something. And then over here, I have a couple of wall sconces that I'm going to put, one here and then one on the other side, and we'll just have like a switch to those here. So, and then where was the other thing in the living room? Oh, over here. Okay, so Scott's dad had suggested about creating like kind of a type of a valance. So what we decided to do here is we'll build something, out of either, wood or log or something that kind of looks cool, like with a little bit of like decor that goes with kind of this natural look that we're looking for in here. And then get a couple of those utility lights Costco has on sale for like $20 right now, and lay those up in there. And if they're too bright, then we can just put, some plexiglass or something down over it. But then they would angle up and shine with some lighting up in this area for, accent or just to light that. And so then I thought, well, where are we going to put that switch? And right now I've got a bunch of this on the wall here. So switch for that high valance, switch for the overhead fan in the living room, potentially. So we're trying to decide whether we want to put that on a dimmer or what's going on there. So yeah, and then in our bedroom, it was a little simpler in here because we're like, oh, we'll just put a fan up there, and we just need like one light fixture in our closet, because this closet is going to be built with shelves and storage like all the way up. So, and then very simply in this little small bathroom, where it's just going to be the commode and the vanity, we just need a vanity light and some outlets here, so that's going to be very simple. The other major area that we needed to make some decisions about was the kitchen. And let's see if I can get my little motion light to come back on. There he goes. in here because of all of this open. So what we ended up deciding to do is we have some of this leftover tongue and groove, so we're just going to put like a ceiling fixture right here that is going to run basically kind of like a track along here, and we'll be able to kind of hide the wiring and the box with some of this leftover tongue and groove that we have. And then we'll just put a candlelight right over the sink that'll shine down here, and then Scott will just build a box to just cover that in, because all of this LVL totally needs to be covered as well, because originally we were not going to do this open design, and so we're like, it doesn't matter what that looks like. Now we're like, it matters what it looks like. Anchor bolts sticking out of your kitchen wall, nice. So we'll cover all of that with that tongue and groove, so it'll just match there. And we're going to go with the stove will be here with the vent hood. Come back, come back. Hello. It doesn't want to. Oh, there it goes. And so we're just going to do outlets along the kitchen counter, and then do under the counter lighting, and make all this stuff LEDs so that we have good bright lights there, and they're going to be energy efficient. And then over here, just do a light fixture that'll come down, and we hopefully we're going to have a little bit of room here to have like a little table, kind of a little kitchen table, so that we could have maybe one light that shines down here. This will be all enclosed pantry, basically from the floor to ceiling, and then we will have maybe a light that's up here that will shine in this direction to light the pantry if we open that, and then the other light may be coming this way because the refrigerator will be over in this corner. So that's kind of the plan. And then the only other area that we had to, I'm not going to go up in the lift right now, but upstairs in the loft, I have things labeled up there as well. And one problem that we realized, if we had to do this over again, we would have dropped that floor down, because now with the ceiling being open, it didn't need to be that high. So if we had dropped that down, we would have been able to put like a ceiling fan up there, but that's not going to work because it's only like 8 feet from floor to ceiling up there. So we don't want anybody's hair chopped off or top of their head chopped off by a ceiling fan hanging right there, even at the high point. So what we're going to have to do is mount a fan way up there in that corner. So actually that piece of red tape says outlet, and that will be where we'll just put something on the wall as a fan that's going to be able to push some of that warm air down in this direction, and just have a switch that controls it on the wall here. And that I had to really think about, because this area along here is going to be eventually all built in, like a desk for like Imogene schooling, and like a computer and stuff that's going to be up there. So I had to put extra outlets along there, because I'm thinking, what if we're going to plug some lights in, plug in your computer, your printer, and on all that type of thing. So yeah, it was just like, it was it takes like a lot of thought to plan all this stuff out, and when you're tired and you're having to make all these decisions. So I would think about something, and then talk to somebody and look at comments that people made, and do some more research, and what kind of light fixtures. You're going to Anchorage and looking at Lowe's, like, what do they have, or whatever. And so trying to pull it all together to make the best decisions that are going to maybe light the place efficiently and economically, because you can spend lots of money on elaborate light fixtures, or you could just try to be creative and do some things yourself. So even at this point, if we can't afford to put the exact fixtures in that we want to, at least we'll have it wired so that in the future we can go ahead and update that the way we want to. So it took me like 3 hours one night just to go around and get all the tape in the right place, and where do I want this, and then going back and looking at it again. So all these things are incredibly time consuming. So you wonder why does it take so long to get from point A to point B? Well, there's a lot of like the behind the scenes stuff that's going on that it takes time. And when you're doing your own place and you want to make the right decisions, you're like, hey, I'm going to live in here, so do I want this amount of light or that amount of outlets for what I'm going to be plugging in there, or whatever. So you're trying to imagine in the future, like, I'm going to be sitting there, or I'll be doing that over there. Like, will I have enough light to do what I want to do, or do I need an outlet? So there's just lots of things to think about, and something that, decisions, yes. We do have a few light fixtures that we have prepared to install eventually. And indeed, this is a classic Kichler from the 90s. Ooh, I know there is a massive story behind this light fixture and a few others that look exactly like it, and I will spare you that, and my mother is probably laughing right now about that. Dad, you too. So anyway, this is a wall sconce that this piece is going to have to fit on here once we get it installed. But this lovely little darling will just go right up there and look fabulous. And its little friend will go right over there. So we'll have matching little sconces on each side, and the matching little friends will be outside. So the exterior fixtures that are going to go right on the outside of this door, and the front door, and outside the loft door as well. So we do have a few fixtures, and like I said, the ceiling fan we do have as well to go up there. And once we decide, maybe, I mean, we're hoping that we can find like a little, a track type light fixture that can go up there in the kitchen, and we're going to kind of keep our eyes open in the near future for any sales on stuff like that, and then just be creative with the rest of it for now. So we'll get the place lighted.